Well, hello, I'm Bob Dandry, this is Boring Guy Plays, and welcome back to a very Transport Fever 2 Christmas. This is our special Christmas-themed miniseries, which I'm recording in advance, and hope you enjoyed the first episode. So last episode we did a little bit of everything for this sort of small, shall we say, region here, focused around Malvern. So we got some food production started, we got food shipped off to the towns, we also got a sort of rudimentary suburban rail service set up as well. Now today we're going to continue sort of looking at this from a local point of view. We do have an area where we'll be building up a more sort of trunk line type situation, but I want to start out at least continuing this as a bit of a, shall we say, local service. So we've got 3 stations right now on the Malvern suburban line. We've got Malvern, Shipping Norton, and Ottery St Mary. And once we get to Ottery St Mary, we're probably going to be deviating a little bit. Now, our sort of intercity services, which will go towards what will be our sort of capital in Corbridge, those will head on through Epsom and beyond. Our local services will actually deviate, head through this mountain pass and on to Evesham and Bridgnorth, which do actually provide us some challenges because Bridgnorth is pretty much on the opposite side of a mountain to Evesham as well. So, question is, how are we going to create that route? And I think what we'll do, we will head to Evesham, then we'll actually head around this direction here, if you're following my cursor, where our little suburban service will terminate at Bridgnorth. So the deviation is actually going to be quite extreme. It's going to be quite a low-speed connection, and it's going to wind through here a bit, which I actually think is pretty cool. Probably what we need to do, first of all, is get where our sort of crucial little bits of connection that we need to get right will be. I would prefer it not to tunnel, if I'm completely honest. So we're going to see if we can avoid that, and it looks like we're doing okay with that request. But from there, we're going to need to sort of bend around, and this is actually higher speed than I thought it would be. So I'm happy with that. And question is, can we get back around? No, we can't. That is okay, actually. What we can probably do is just, rather than following the terrain, we can dig down a little bit in making this happen. Because as you can see, we're heading sort of up at this point, and instead we will head down. And by doing that, we actually solved that issue. So it's good to see. And look, it's not too bad. The ridiculousness. I think we're, in a decent position. We're able to curve around. We have dug into the mountain pass a little bit, and that's okay. We probably expected we need to do that. We could have probably done this as a single track with crossovers, but you know what? Let's just plan it to be a higher capacity line. Why not? We are going to need to support some freight through here as well. And that at the moment is just going to be building materials, but potentially, you know, a little bit later on, we'll need to get some tools, machinery, and goods in here as well. Now, for our station at Evesham, we're a little bit limited. We would like to have it over here. That is where our residential is, but I don't think it's going to fit in there. There's probably not a way to make that work. So instead, we'll need to put it on the far side from our residential. And, you know, as we've done with our city so far, we'll need to run a bus service to cover off, you know, what we need here. All right, so I think we're okay there. The game seems to really want to disrupt what we're doing. by building roads where we are already planning to put things, but That's just something you got to get used to when you're playing Transport Fever 2, I think. Okay, we're pretty good there. And yeah, now is the somewhat challenging journey around the back of this mountain. Which, I mean, if this was, you know, the like 90s or 2000s, we might just, you know, punch straight through the mountain. But we're not there at this point. This is sort of a bit of a rural connection, I think. So we do not want to be doing that quite yet. We're also going to do something that might be considered maybe a little bit odd. We're actually going to make this just as a single track terminus. There's not going to be too much going on here at this point. We might upgrade this to double track in the future, but for our purposes here, we don't need double track. If there are, you know, multiple trains wanting to come in here at once, then what we'll be doing there is actually just having one train waiting for the other one, pretty much. And we are wanting to tunnel. I want to try and avoid that if I can. So we might take a bit of a wider connection there, which is fine. It doesn't look too bad, actually. And we're still going to stay reasonably fast going through that sort of kink there. And yeah, as we come to the end of the line, we are actually going to... I'm actually going to slightly realign this. I probably built the wrong side or in the wrong configuration here, so we'll just realign that a little bit, and then we'll just have this sort of kicking in at the terminating point. And then, yeah, all we need to do is signal, and we're pretty much good to start running services here. We could have made these shorter, to be honest. They didn't even need to be 240 meters long, because we're probably never going to be running 240 meter long trains on them, but is what it is. All right, so we've got the new section of our Malvern suburban line up and running, and it's going to be a nice, easy just modification of the line to get that working. So after Ottery St Mary's, we will head on to Evesham, Bridgenorth, and then return. Perfect. We might get a couple more trains running as well if we can afford it anyway. Oh, hang on. We got a problem. We got some trains mutually blocking. Oh yes, that is absolutely mutually blocking there. So I might get a signal in there as well. But yes, we're going to get an additional 2 Class 110s in here if we can afford it. And yeah, we can. Beautiful. From there, we'll need to get our suburban services set up, or our local services within the towns. That should give us all the service we need. And finally, at Bridgenorth, we will do the same thing. We're already seeing a few people wanting to use our local bus services, which is good to see. And in fact, even in Bridgenorth, we've got quite a few people wanting to use the train. So we are, already getting some take up here, which should be good for the bottom line. Over at Malvern, we have actually unlocked or started accepting construction materials, and a fair amount of them as well. We don't currently have a construction materials chain going to Malvern, so we might add one in and get a few trucks purchased to run that as well. How many are we running on Chipping Norton bricks? We're running 4 right now, and it's running a profit. Chipping Norton has, well, quite a higher demand for construction materials, so We might just go to running on our new line to Malvern just to, I guess, offset the lower demand we've got there. But we'll probably find ourselves upgrading it in not too long, I would suggest. What neck verb? Good job. Terrible. Am I seeing here that we don't have any food going to Malvern? No, we do. It's just hard to see because it's very similar color to the road. Okay, fair enough. So our suburban line is complete, and it looks like we probably need to actually increase capacity fairly soon. We can switch over these 2-car DMUs to be 3-car. I suggest we're probably going to find ourselves doing that. But we'll just let it sort of normalize itself, let the services smooth out, as they tend to take a little while to do when you start running them. And instead, we're actually going to move on to getting our line to Corbridge set up. So Corbridge will actually be the terminus of our network. And I think we've got a nice little patch here that we could build our main station. And we do want both terminating platforms and also through platforms, because we are going to run a service through to these towns up here eventually, though not right now, I would say. But I think this is a nice patch here, and we can, of course, build sort of probably over these cliffs, I would say, for our through services. But yeah, terminating ones, I'd say, are looking pretty good at this point. This is going to be sort of a full service station. Going to have everything we possibly can. I keep accidentally pausing because I hit the wrong buttons, more or less. So what we're going to do from here, I built this main road when I was sort of creating this this scenario in the editor, and I don't know, I just forgot to do anything with it. So there's this bridge here. That's the reason it's there, because I put it there. But we might do something with that later, but I'm not really interested in sort of having that happen right now. Right now, what we're going to focus on doing is hooking up Corbridge to Ottery St Mary. And I think we will be able to have 2 intermediate stations. One at Ossett, I think we can fit one around here or so. And of course, one at Epsom, which is what we were planning for in the first place. So, question is, where are we going to get the service at Ossett? We could potentially do it sort of on this main road and have, services from Ossett over there to drop people off. I actually think that might be a decent shout, having that happen. And that should just make things a little bit easier to, I think, manage. So I'm just going to go with probably 2 platforms right now. And we will maybe put it over here, so a little while away from the main road. Just that'll give us some room to expand should we need to. And yeah, we'll just build a street connection. Which is not the best street connection I've ever seen in my life. But it's a connection. As you can see, we are getting a little bit of coverage on these buildings over here, and I'm sure we will have more when we build bus services. So what we're going to do then from there is we will have the station sort of break off and turn quite dramatically, and hopefully connect in here fine. Yeah, perfect. From there, I'm wondering if we could run a parallel bridge. We could, but this is going to cost so much money. I forgot things cost money in this game. Oh, that's going to be a lot of work to to make that work. Famous last words, I guess. That's all right. We can build the rest of the line. I think we can build up to Epsom. Probably this sort of section here is where we could build our connection to Epsom. Here is probably good. We're actually going to be going down quite a bit. We might need to tunnel through here. which should be okay. Yeah, actually, it's not too bad, the tunneling we need to do. Oh, actually, it is pretty bad. This is quite a dramatic drop-off, as it turns out, so we might need to do a bit of sort of curving around to make this work. And it's going to be expensive. Actually, not as bad as I thought it would be. So we have had to curve around a little bit, but it's reasonably manageable and shouldn't cost us too much money. I say that as a multi-million-dollar for such a short connection. But we can connect up. So we've connected it up to our rail yards, and overall, decent. And from here, we might sort of connect up as well as we can to the bridgehead, so we're sort of good to go or ready to go. Ooh. Challenging, actually, these grades. Might just rebuild this bit, I think. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Famous last words, probably. Yeah, I think this is a $15 million bridge we're building here. And that is a low-speed bridge as well. So we probably have some saving to do before we can get to that point. But I think we can start to get some suburban type services running now to start to make some money and start to encourage growth in these sort of 3 towns that sort of all link up together. While we are going to have trains running between these stations, I think we're close enough that we could run buses or light rail between the cities as well. I'm going to do a little bit of jiggery in here because I think there might have been an industry in that area before and it was removed. And just see. Actually, we don't want to run down here because we will have a through service running there. So no, we're not doing that. Let's see if we can get a bridge over the top here. And we pretty much can. Got a bridge pillar collision, but we can fix that up. I say that, and we're probably going to have a line running through here as well, so we might need to redraw this eventually, but yeah, it's probably okay for the moment. And yeah, we've got a few different points of connection between the 2, or the 3 cities, really. The question is, do we have decent trams we can run? I think we do, but let me just quickly check that and get a tram depot over here. So what do we got available here? Yeah, we've got decent. We've got these BE46 Mirage we could probably get in. And yeah, I think we might run one from Bradnich to Ossett Station and one from Bradnich sort of through Corbridge to the other side via the station, of course. I think we should be pretty good with that. May as well connect up this road as well, just to give us another point of interconnectivity, shall we say. And we can work out what will happen with the train line when we get that far. It's probably a little way off yet. Let's get 4 of these purchased. and create a line for each. And hopefully we should start to see some demand to travel on these light rail lines, because they will help to build these cities so they are pretty much good to go when we can actually connect them across the river when we have to spend that $15+ million. And whoa, as we can see here, yeah, we've got massive demand for this, what was supposed to be not really in that much demand, but it ended up being. So yes, we will actually upgrade our DMUs to be 3-car, and we might add a few more on as well. But we can't. We need more money. So instead, can we buy a couple of new ones? We'll upgrade the 3 cars later. And get one. Yeah, better than nothing, right? All right, and we might just have enough money here to build this great big bridge. It's going to be low speed. So I wonder if we can afford something else. It is looking like we could almost afford it. Hopefully if we just hang out here, it'll go that magical white color momentarily. And if I am not mistaken, we should very, very shortly have the required money coming into our bank account as I try and push this out until it gets there. My timing was just off. All right, so there we go. This big colossal bridge is built. So we do want this to be duplicated, but at the moment, yeah, there's no money for that. So what we're going to do, we are going to have a single track section like so. So this will be a future project, getting that duplicated. But yeah, at the moment, no money for that. No money whatsoever. There's probably no money for a train to run on this line either, if I'm completely honest. But we could probably get it done. So we're going to get a new line established. We're going to be running from Corbridge to Epsom, then stopping at Ottery St Mary's, terminating at Malvern. So this is not an all stops train. In fact, we didn't even stop at Ossett. No, we actually didn't. We skipped it. My bad. I love it when there's too much curvature, don't you? Oh, out of money. Great. No longer out of money. So I think we need to redo some of our platform selections here. As you can see, we are not using all the platforms we could. Epsom, I think we need to go to 1. Yep, and then that fixes that. Now, it's actually going to be a little while until we can afford to have trains on that line. And I think our best chance of getting there is to actually increase our capacity on the Malvern suburban line, because we have got a lot of passengers wanting to use this line that we are not catering for. So what I want to do, I want to increase our the number of trains we're running here. Or not the number, but the capacity of the trains. So we can actually increase some of these to be 5 carriage trains. Now we're having a mix of liveries, and I think that's okay. That would happen in real life, or at least I would expect it would. And so we're going to try and slowly increase these to 5 and then 6 car trains. And hopefully that should increase the throughput we're getting.
11 minutes later.
Here's an idea I actually hadn't thought of. Obviously, we're not going to be able to afford the trains we want to run on this new mainline route for a little while yet. I want to run HSTs on it, and I think it probably makes sense. Obviously, this is a very scaled down map, as you can see. It's not very large at all, and that was intentional. But for the purposes of this map, that would be one of our long distance routes. So I think what we could actually do is get some of our class 110s, maybe 1 or 2 sets, to run this mainline route until we can afford the HSTs. I think that probably makes sense for us to do. And I think we should have the capacity to do it as well. So we need roughly 6 million for one 3-car set. So what I might actually do then is, where is our 5-car set that we made up recently? We might actually, where are you? Here. We might actually split you off. And have you run on our new line instead, and then we'll get a second 3-car set purchased when we're able to as well. And what are we going to call this line? Because we've called this the Malvern Suburban line, which probably makes sense, but I don't know if we then can call this the Malvern line, because you might get confused. Assuming that this, from this viewpoint here, is the south of the map, which I think is naturally where I think it is, we might actually change the name of our suburban line to the Southern Suburban Line. And then line 1 will become the Malvern line. I think that makes sense. And hopefully we should start to see some people waiting to use this new service. We also need to get some buses in at Epsom as well. I might do that in a few moments. I have, I think, just got enough to get another 3-car set into service. I'm going to quickly do that. Lovely, just in time before we went into the negative, so done. And then, yeah, once we've got $1 million free or so, we'll get the suburban service set up for Epsom. That is all we've got time for in this episode, so I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device next time I post a video. You can find links to all my social media in the description, so please jump on there, like, follow, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. Big shout out to my Founders Club patron Caleb. Caleb, thank you so much for helping to make this content possible. If you at home want to help out the channel, you can also do so by joining as a member of my Patreon or YouTube community. Or if you just want to give a one-off donation, you can do so via the super thanks button on this video. But until next time, I'm Bob Dandry. This is a very Transport Fever 2 Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.